Countries that pay you to move, the Masterclass. Throughout the world, right now, governments are sitting around conference tables in deep discussion. They are focused on gaining an asset. You. Yes, you are the asset they are trying to acquire. And they are rapidly designing programs to pay you to move there. They don't just want your labor and not just a bigger slice of your paycheck. What they are really competing for is your portable capital, your willingness to change tax residency. That's the country that, on paper, you actually live in for tax purposes, and your potential to add a second Tier B passport over time, and your decision about which flag you choose to live under for the next chapter of your life. If you have ever felt that where you were born and where you were taxed should not have to be the same answer forever, you are already thinking in the direction of something called flag theory. Flag theory is the idea that you deliberately place different flags in different countries, where you live, where you bank, where you invest, where you hold citizenship, so that no single government has total control over your life. Right now, as you watch this, governments across Europe, Asia, and South America are quietly updating their own side of that equation. They are building relocation grants and cash incentives, writing new tax residency offers, launching or expanding programs that look very much like citizenship by investment, where you trade time, investment, or contribution for a residence permit or, eventually, a passport. They are reshaping their rules around foreign residents, all to compete for the same small group of people. People who care about asset protection, keeping their money and structures safer by spreading risk across jurisdictions. People who understand that an alternative passport is not a novelty, but an insurance policy. People who go where they are treated best and recognize it as a design principle, not a slogan. This is not a travel video. This is not a list of cheap countries where your latte costs $3 less. This is a briefing on one of the most significant and most systematically underreported structural shifts in global policy. Sovereign nations are actively paying in real money and real incentives to attract a specific kind of person. A person with portable income, with transferable skills, with enough self-awareness to understand that where you live is not a fixed condition. It is a strategic choice that touches your taxes, your freedom of movement, your family's options, and the shape of the decades you have ahead of you. In this masterclass, you are going to see how that plays out in practice. The countries that will pay you to move, the actual programs behind the headlines, and how each one fits into a larger map of flags, residencies, and futures. These countries are longing for people with portable income and a spirit for adventure. That person is you. Before we go further, there is something important woven throughout this entire video that is worth knowing from the start. At key moments, when the research reveals something most people get wrong, when a process has a hidden step that can make or break your outcome, or when there is a piece of strategic knowledge that separates the people who thrive from the people who struggle, this video will pause to give you insider tips for relocation success. These are not generic travel tips. They are specific, practical, decision-shaping insights drawn from deep research and real-world relocation logic. These are the details that clickbait headlines, superficial listicles, and most social media coverage leave out. Watch for them. Write them down. They may save you money, time, stress, and costly mistakes. Why are governments doing this? To understand why any government would write you a check to move there, you need to understand one number. By 2050, the global population of people aged 65 and older is projected to reach 2.1 billion, double what it is today. By the mid-2030s, the number of people aged 80 and older will outnumber infants on this planet. Let that land for a moment. More people over 80 than under 1. This is not a distant projection. It is already happening visibly in the countries you are about to hear about, and its consequences for government finance, tax revenue, pension sustainability, healthcare systems, and the basic economic viability of entire regions are not theoretical. They are immediate, measurable, and, in the countries where the decline has been most severe, increasingly desperate. Here is what that desperation looks like in practice. Japan lost 908,574 people in 2024 alone. Not emigrated, lost. The difference between births and deaths in a single year was nearly 1 million people, the largest annual population drop ever recorded in that country. Japan has been shrinking for 16 consecutive years. Nearly 1 in 3 Japanese citizens is now aged 65 or older, while only 59% fall within the working age bracket as compared to a global average of 65%. That difference places Japan at a structural economic disadvantage, and the country is now actively trying to counter it. The situation is even more severe in rural areas. Entire towns are emptying, schools close, local businesses fold. The architecture of daily life, the train station, the post office, the hardware store, these go first. And then, the people who remain have no reason to stay either. Japan's own Prime Minister has called this a quiet emergency. Italy has lost 1.86 million residents since 2019. Southern Italy, Calabria, Sardinia, Basilicata, Molise, is projected to lose approximately 15% of its population by 2050, a net loss of around 3.5 million people. The Italian government has responded by committing hundreds of millions of euros to village revitalization because the alternative is watching entire communities cease to exist within a generation. In Ireland, 27 offshore islands that once supported 34,000 people in 1841 now hold a combined permanent population closer to 2,700. And that number continues to fall. 20% of Irish islanders are aged 65 or older, against a national average of 12%. On some of these islands, the school has closed. The last young family has moved to the mainland. What remains is beauty, silence, and a government that has run out of passive options. Greece is losing population at a rate of 1.77% annually. The island of Antikythera, one of the most hauntingly beautiful specks of land in the entire Aegean, had 120 residents in 2011 and 39 by the 2021 census. During winter months, that number drops to roughly 20 people. There are no children. There is no bakery. The local leader, Giorgos Harhalakis, told journalists, "I'm not giving up." And the Greek government, watching versions of this story play out in hundreds of communities across the country, has decided it is not giving up either. Across the European Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, the OECD, the working age population share is projected to fall from 64% to 54.4% by 2100. A shift that, without policy intervention, could slow GDP per capita growth by 40%. This is the context. This is why, in 2026, if you are a person with portable income, a qualifying pension, a person with a startup idea, a remote work arrangement, or if you simply have the financial resources to buy a home and plant yourself somewhere, multiple national governments are prepared to offer you cash, property, tax relief, and equity-free funding to choose them. Not because they are generous, because they are scared. And fear, channeled into policy, creates some of the most extraordinary opportunities in the history of human migration. Here's an insider's tip for relocation success. The term you're going to hear professionals use for what these governments are doing is incentivized migration, the deliberate use of financial instruments to attract specific demographic profiles to specific locations. It is not charity. It is competition. Understanding it as competition and understanding that you are the scarce resource changes how you evaluate every offer in this video. The departure paradox. Before we go any further, there is a question you are almost certainly asking right now, and it deserves a direct, honest answer. If these places are so beautiful, if Switzerland and Japan and Ireland and Sardinia are genuinely wonderful, why is everyone leaving? It is a sharp question. It is the right question. And the answer, when you actually examine it, is not what most people assume. It does not mean these places are bad. It means something far more interesting and far more useful for your decision-making than that. The people leaving these communities and these countries are not leaving because the landscape is wrong. They are not leaving because the food is poor, the climate is unlivable, the culture is hostile, or the quality of daily life is inferior. They are leaving for reasons that have almost nothing to do with the character of the place, and almost everything to do with the structure of the economy they were born into. Understanding the difference between those two things is the most important analytical step in this entire video. Why they are leaving, the real reasons, country by country. In Japan, the rural exodus is driven by three forces that have been building for 70 years: education, employment, and culture. Japan's best universities are concentrated in Tokyo, Osaka, and a handful of major cities. The moment a young person decides to pursue higher education, they move. And once they are in the city, the professional infrastructure, the social life, the career networks, and the cultural amenities of urban Japan create a gravitational pull that rural areas cannot compete with on those terms. Add to this the documented gender dimension. Rural Japan still operates on social norms that constrain the careers and ambitions of young women in ways that urban Japan does not, and the data shows that young women are leaving rural areas at nearly double the rate of young men. The countryside of Japan is emptying not because it is unpleasant. It is emptying because a 19-year-old in Akita Prefecture who wants to be a software engineer or a designer or a doctor does not have the professional infrastructure they need within reach. And so they leave to go where it is. The critical corollary, and this is the part that changes everything, is that the person who already has a career, who works remotely, who has built the professional infrastructure they need before relocating, faces none of those structural obstacles. The reasons that drive a Japanese 22-year-old out of rural Tottori are entirely irrelevant to a 45-year-old remote professional from Toronto or London or Sydney who is not moving to find a career. They already have one. In Ireland's offshore islands, the pattern is similar, rooted in a history of emigration so deep it has become cultural. The islands lost their economic base, fishing, small farming, traditional crafts, as industrial and service economies concentrated on the mainland. Young people followed the jobs, as young people everywhere follow the jobs. The lack of employment on the islands is not a consequence of anything wrong with the islands themselves. It is a consequence of the structural reality that the modern knowledge economy does not organize itself around tidal patterns and ferry schedules. But here again, the corollary is decisive. The person who arrives on an Irish island with a pension or a portfolio of investment income or a remote consulting practice or a digital business brings exactly what the island's economy cannot generate domestically: income that comes from outside. They are not arriving seeking an economic base. They arrive as an economic base. That is precisely why the Irish government is willing to pay up to €84,000 to attract them. In southern Italy, in Calabria, in Sardinia, in the villages of Basilicata and Molise, the departure story is a brain drain, and it is one of the most extensively documented demographic phenomena in European social science. Italy's south has a youth unemployment rate that runs as high as 46% in some regions. The young people who leave are, systematically, the most educated and the most ambitious. More than 1 in 3 of the young Southerners who move to northern Italy hold a university degree, and that share has been rising every year. They are not fleeing poverty of place. They are responding to poverty of opportunity, a structural failure of the southern Italian economy to generate sufficient professional employment for the talent it produces. What they leave behind is a landscape that has been described as one of the most beautiful in Europe, a food culture of extraordinary depth and complexity, a pace of life that researchers have linked to measurably lower stress indicators, and communities whose social texture represents exactly the kind of human connection that is disappearing from the cities the young people are rushing toward. The person arriving from North America or Northern Europe who brings their own income, their own professional structure, and their own decision that the life is the point, not the proximity to a Milan talent market, is not making the same trade-off as a 26-year-old Calabrian engineer. They are making a completely different calculation, arriving at a completely different conclusion for completely different reasons. In Switzerland's alpine villages like Albinen, the departure dynamic is the simplest of all, and arguably the most ironic. The village is expensive. Switzerland is expensive. Young people who grew up in Albinen go to university in Bern or Zurich or Geneva, build careers and social lives there, and find that the logistics of working from a village of 245 people at 1,275 meters of elevation no longer suits the professional lives they are building. For the person for whom professional concentration is no longer the primary variable, because the career is already built, because the income is portable, because the next chapter is about how life actually feels rather than where the next promotion comes from, Albinen offers something that cannot be replicated in Bern or Zurich at any price point: silence, altitude, extraordinary natural beauty, a community of genuine human scale, and clean air that arrives directly from the mountains every morning at no charge. In Greece, the departure story layers two crises on top of each other. The first is economic. A decade of austerity following the 2010 financial crisis drove approximately 500,000 Greeks, overwhelmingly young, educated, and professionally ambitious, out of the country. 1 in 3 young Greeks aged 17 to 34 reported struggling to make ends meet monthly in recent surveys, and 37% were actively considering emigration for better work. The second crisis is demographic. Greece's fertility rate at 1.43 children per woman is among the lowest in the EU, and the population is aging faster than immigration can compensate for. Greece is closing 700 schools because the children are not there to fill them. What this leaves behind on islands like Antikythera and in mainland regions like Kastoria and Drama is a landscape of exceptional natural beauty, a cultural heritage that spans 3 millennia, and a Mediterranean quality of light, warmth, and food culture that has drawn visitors from across the world for a century, stripped of the working-age population that the local economy could not sustain. For the person arriving with external income and a genuine desire to engage with that culture, the landscape has not changed. The community may not be large, but it will be real. Why you are the solution, not the problem. Here is what all of these departure stories have in common. The people leaving are leaving because the local economy cannot give them what they need at this stage of their lives. Jobs in their field, career infrastructure, urban amenities, professional networks, the things that matter most when you are 25 and building. You are not the demographic these communities are losing. You are the demographic they are trying to acquire. And understanding that distinction changes the entire emotional register of this decision from, why would I move somewhere people are leaving to? Why would I miss the opportunity to arrive in a beautiful place before everyone else figures out what it offers? The Irish island that lost its fishing industry is still the Irish island. The Sardinian village that watched its young people move to Milan is still in Sardinia. The Japanese mountain town where the school closed is still in the Japanese mountains, with the food and the seasons and the particular quality of silence those mountains have always had. The people who left took their labor with them. They could not take the place. The place is still there. Here's an insider's tip for relocation success. The communities in this video are not in decline because they failed. They are in transition. A specific, well-documented transition driven by forces that have been reshaping where economic activity concentrates for the past 70 years. The governments backing these programs are not asking you to fix their economies. They are asking you to contribute to the revival of places that have more to offer than their current population numbers suggest. The distinction matters. You are not a rescue operation. You are an early mover. The framework. How to think about this. Not all of these programs are the same. Treating them as a single category, countries that pay you to move, is how people end up applying for the wrong opportunity or dismissing the right one because the headline number looked small. Before we go country by country, here's the framework that will make every section of this video more useful to you. These opportunities fall into 3 distinct tiers. Each tier optimizes for something different. Your job, before you fall in love with the landscape, is to know which tier matches what you are actually trying to accomplish. Tier 1, capital grants. These are direct cash payments or renovation grants tied to property purchase and primary residence. Switzerland and Ireland sit here. The numbers are the largest single payment figures available globally. The requirements are real: residency qualifications, age considerations, renovation obligations. But the financial anchor is straightforward. The government hands you a defined amount of money in exchange for your commitment to live in a specific place. Tier 2, Entrepreneurial and Business Grants. These are equity-free funding programs for founders, startups, and business builders. Chile sits here, and parts of Italy. The cash amounts are substantial, up to $80,000 and beyond, equity-free, meaning you give up nothing in return for the funding except your willingness to relocate and build. This tier is specifically designed to attract human capital, people whose presence will generate economic activity, jobs, and innovation that compounds far beyond the initial grant value. Tier 3, Structural and Tax Arbitrage. This tier is the most underappreciated and, for high net worth individuals, often the most financially valuable. Japan's stacked subsidy system, Greece's regional grants, Thailand's long-term resident visa, Mauritius's retirement structure. These are frameworks where the value is not a single check, but a restructuring of your financial life. Lower or zero taxes on foreign-sourced income. Free or heavily subsidized property with renovation support. A decade or more of structural advantage that, calculated over time, may dwarf any Tier 1 payment. For the high net worth viewer watching this, Tier 3 deserves particular attention. A flat 17% income tax in Thailand versus the 35 to 50% you may currently be paying is not a grant. It is a permanent restructuring of your financial architecture. That is not a lifestyle decision. That is a capital allocation decision with compounding consequences for the rest of your life. Here's an insider's tip for relocation success. The single most important question to ask before pursuing any of these programs is not how much do I get? It is what am I qualified for right now, and what do I need to put in place to qualify for the tier that matches my actual strategic objectives? These are not the same question. Get clear on which one you are answering. Country by country, the Strategic Five and the Hidden List. Switzerland, the gold standard. The village of Albinen sits on a south-facing slope in the Swiss Alps at 1,275 meters above sea level in the canton of Valais. It was first documented in a written record in 1226. At its population peak in 1902, 380 people lived there. Today, the official count is approximately 245. That number has been declining with only brief interruptions since the 1940s. The village is not ugly. It is not economically devastated. It is not dangerous. It is, by almost any objective measure, one of the most beautiful places in Switzerland. The entire settlement is designated as part of the inventory of Swiss heritage sites. The views across the Valais Valley are the kind of views that appear in luxury travel photography without explanation because the image requires none. The problem Albinen has is a problem that an increasing number of extraordinarily beautiful places in the developed world share. The young leave for cities. The old stay and age. The infrastructure that makes daily life functional. The school, the shop, the sense of community vitality requires a population density that the village can no longer sustain on its own demographic trajectory. And so, Albinen did something quietly radical. It decided to pay people to move there. The numbers: 25,000 Swiss francs per adult and 10,000 Swiss francs for each child. A family of 2 adults and 2 children receives 70,000 Swiss francs, over $85,000 at current exchange rates. In exchange, the recipient must be under 45, commit to purchasing or constructing a home worth at least 200,000 Swiss francs, and remain a primary resident of Albinen for at least 10 years. If you leave before the decade is up, you repay the grant on a prorated basis. Here is where the sophisticated analysis begins, because Albinen's grant is not the full picture, and the full picture is more complex than the headline suggests. Switzerland does not allow foreigners to simply arrive and apply for this program. To qualify for the Albinen grant, you must already hold Swiss Permit C, or permanent residency, which is available to EU and EFTA citizens after 5 years of legal residence and to non-EU citizens, typically after 10 years. This means the Albinen program is, in structural terms, a reward for people who have already made the long-term commitment to Switzerland, not an entry point for newcomers. By 2023, only approximately 17 applications had been approved, adding roughly 50 new residents to the village. Here's an insider's tip for relocation success. The Albinen story is best understood as a signal, not a shortcut. It tells you something important about where developed world policy is heading. The fact that even Switzerland, one of the wealthiest nations on earth, has resorted to direct cash payments to address rural depopulation means the demographic pressure driving this entire video is real, global, and accelerating. For the viewer who already has or is building toward Swiss permanent residency, this is a genuine and extraordinary program. For those at the beginning of a Swiss journey, understanding it is useful context for why Switzerland is competing for you. Even if the mechanics require patience, Albinen's grant is the most prestigious relocation incentive on the planet precisely because it is the hardest to qualify for. Switzerland has maintained that standard deliberately. The question for your planning is not whether Albinen is worth pursuing. The question is whether Switzerland is part of your 5-year architecture. If it is, the grant is a landmark at the end of the path. If it is not, the path itself towards Swiss permanent residency may still be worth building. Ireland, the Atlantic edge. In 1841, 34,000 people lived on more than 60 of Ireland's offshore islands. Today, the 27 islands that remain inhabited share a combined permanent population of approximately 2,700, and it is still falling. 20% of those who remain are aged 65 or older, against a national average of 12%. The Irish government, watching this slow dissolution of island life across the Atlantic coastline from Donegal to Cork, has responded with a program that is one of the most financially generous relocation incentive structures available to English speakers anywhere in the world. It is called Our Living Islands. The offer? Up to €84,000 for derelict properties and up to €60,000 for vacant but structurally sound properties. The program covers 23 qualifying islands, including Erinmore in Donegal, Beer Island in Cork, Inishbofin in Galway, Clare Island in Mayo, and Ayr Island in West Cork. Non-Irish and non-EU applicants are eligible, subject to immigration status, provided the property is used as a primary residence. No holiday homes, no short-term rental businesses. A real life on a real island underwritten by the Irish state. The program has been running since June 2023 and is funded through 2033. As of early 2025, only 29 applications had been received and 20 had been approved. The low uptake exists because moving to a remote island requires something a grant alone cannot provide: a genuine willingness to live remotely, to learn a community, to accept that the nearest large supermarket is a ferry ride away, to find that the distance, the weather, the particular quality of Atlantic light, and the rhythm of island life are not inconveniences to be managed, but features to be embraced. The people who thrive on Ireland's islands are not the people who move there for the €84,000. They are the people who move there for the life, and for whom the €84,000 was thoughtful underwriting of a decision they had already made. Here's an insider's tip for relocation success. The renovation requirement under Our Living Islands is serious and should be planned for carefully. You will need a purchase agreement for the property, proof of ownership, a full architectural or engineering renovation plan, and approval from the relevant local authority before funds are released. The grant is paid in tranches as renovation milestones are completed, not as a lump sum upfront. Work with a qualified Irish architect and a solicitor experienced in rural property transactions before you commit to a specific island or property. The process is navigable. It simply rewards preparation. Italy, the beautiful urgency. Italy is spending hundreds of millions of euros trying to save its dying villages. Regional governments from Sardinia to Calabria have created their own financial instruments specifically targeted at attracting new residents to communities that are losing their populations faster than expected. Italy's south, Sardinia, Calabria, Basilicata, Molise, is projected to lose roughly 15% of its population by 2050, a net loss of approximately 3.5 million people. That is the urgency driving what Italy is now offering. Sardinia. The regional government of Sardinia has created a relocation grant of 15,000 euros, non-refundable for anyone who purchases or renovates a home in a Sardinian town with a population under 3,000. The recipient must register as a resident and complete the relocation within 18 months of property purchase. It is available to foreigners. Additionally, there are family supports of approximately 600 euros per month for a first child and 400 euros per month for a second child, both payable until the child turns 5. A 45 million euro fund has been set aside, large enough to support approximately 3,000 individual grants. The Sardinian grant is not the largest number in this video, but the context around it makes it extraordinary. You are being paid 15,000 euros to move to a Mediterranean island that has been on the bucket lists of architects, writers, artists, and retirees for generations. Calabria. The regional program in Calabria offers grants of up to 28,000 euros for relocation combined with business or remote work establishment. The important caveats: there is an age cap of 18 to 40, and recipients must complete the relocation within 90 days of approval. For the right person, entrepreneurially minded under 40, ready to move decisively, Calabria represents one of the most immediately actionable opportunities in this entire video. The €1 home. This is not a national program. It is a collection of individual municipal initiatives by small-town mayors trying to attract buyers to abandoned properties. The purchase price is symbolic. The renovation requirement is not. Depending on the property and municipality, renovation costs can run anywhere from 25,000 euros to well over 100,000 euros. And some municipalities have imposed completion deadlines with financial penalties for non-compliance. It is often a genuine and interesting opportunity, but it requires due diligence that the headline number does not suggest. Here's an insider's tip for relocation success. Italy operates at a pace that rewards patience and punishes impatience. The bureaucratic process for establishing residency, accessing grants, and completing property transactions in small Italian towns is not fast, and it is not always linear. What it is, when navigated correctly with a good geometra, a local notary, and a bilingual immigration consultant, is entirely manageable. Build 6 to 12 months of administrative runway into your Italian relocation plan. The country will reward the wait. Chile, the entrepreneur's republic. Every other opportunity in this video asks you to change your address. Chile asks you to change your trajectory. Startup Chile, run by Corfo, Chile's national economic development agency, is the most established, internationally recognized, equity-free startup funding program in Latin America. Since its founding in 2010, it has backed more than 1,800 startups from over 90 countries. This is not a peripheral emerging market program. It is a mature, internationally recognized accelerator with a track record, an alumni network, and a government commitment that has survived multiple political cycles because the economic return has been demonstrably positive. The offer. The Build program offers approximately $16,000 to $17,000 for early-stage ventures. The Ignite program offers approximately $32,000 for ventures with initial traction. Growth offers approximately $80,000 for more developed companies. Startup Ciencia offers up to approximately $140,000 specifically for deep tech and science-based ventures. Every tier includes a 2-year Chilean work visa. At least one co-founder must commit to relocating to Chile for 6 to 12 months, depending on the program tier. The program is open to all nationalities. The equity-free structure deserves definition because it is extraordinary by global standards. Most accelerator programs take equity in exchange for seed funding. Startup Chile takes zero. The government's return is not financial, it is economic. Every company that succeeds generates employment in Chile, tax revenue, supply chain activity, and the energy that an active startup ecosystem creates. Here's an insider's tip for relocation success. Santiago concentrates more than 90% of Chile's startup activity, with the tech districts of Providencia and Las Condes hosting the majority of accelerators, co-working spaces, and venture capital firms. Before you arrive, connect with the Startup Chile alumni community. It is active, internationally diverse, and genuinely useful for navigating everything from apartment hunting to investor introductions. 6 months in Santiago, fully embedded in that ecosystem, can do more for your company's trajectory than many accelerators anywhere in the world. Japan, the sleeper hit. Japan is the country in this video that most existing coverage gets most wrong. When the media covers Japan's incentive programs, they typically lead with the IKEA, the vacant home, as a quirky human interest story. Free houses in Japan. The implication is exotic, slightly impractical, and primarily interesting as a curiosity. The actual financial picture is none of those things. Japan lost 908,574 people in 2024. The largest annual population drop ever recorded in that country. It has been losing population for 16 consecutive years. Nearly 1 in 3 Japanese citizens is now 65 or older. Rural areas are experiencing ghost village formation as young people migrate to cities, leaving behind abandoned homes, closed schools, and vanishing infrastructure. The Japanese government's response has been to build one of the most comprehensive subsidy systems in the world for people willing to relocate to rural areas. And foreigners are explicitly included. The subsidies are larger than most people realize. The National Relocation Subsidy for moving from a major city to a rural area reaches up to 3 million yen, approximately $20,000 for a family of 3. On top of that are municipal renovation subsidies that cover up to 50% of renovation costs, capped at between 1 million and 5 million yen, depending on the municipality. There are seismic retrofit subsidies ranging from 1 million to 3 million yen. And there are energy efficiency grants of 500,000 to 2 million yen. Stacked across all available programs for a family doing a full renovation, the realistic combined total reaches 7 to 10 million yen. Approximately 47,000 to 67,000 US dollars. Foreigners can legally purchase IKEA under exactly the same process as Japanese nationals, with no nationality-based restrictions on the transaction. The homes themselves are often available for nominal prices or outright free, reflecting years of vacancy in areas where demand has collapsed. The subsidy system exists to offset the renovation costs to make those homes safe and livable. The caveats, however, are important. Renovation costs in Japan require careful budgeting. Older properties can present structural surprises. Language remains a genuine barrier in many rural municipalities. An integration into a small Japanese community, while rewarding for the right person, is not a casual undertaking. For the family, the remote worker, or the retiree who is ready to make that commitment, Japan's stacked subsidy system may be the single most financially underestimated opportunity in this entire video. Here's an insider's tip for relocation success. Japan introduced a digital nomad visa in 2024, allowing remote workers earning above a threshold to live in Japan for up to 6 months, a meaningful test period before committing to a rural residency path. Use it. Spend time in the region you are considering. Connect with the local municipal office, and work with one of the growing number of IKEA specialist agencies that can help foreign buyers navigate the process from property identification through renovation planning and subsidy applications. The honorable mentions, the hidden list. The 5 countries you have just heard about are the strongest, most well-documented incentive programs currently active, but they are not alone. 3 additional programs deserve mention for viewers whose profiles do not perfectly match the Strategic Five. Greece, the emerging story. Greece, formally relaunched its National Relocation Incentive Program in January 2026, offering a flat €10,000 cash grant to individuals and families relocating to depopulated mainland regions, including Drama, Florina, Kilkis, Pella, and Kastoria. A separate renovation grant of up to €36,000 plus €5,000 per child is available under the Renovate and Rent program. Digital nomads are explicitly eligible, and on the island of Antikythera, where 39 residents remain, the local authority is offering free housing, free food, and €500 per month for 3 years to families willing to relocate and rebuild community life there. Thailand. The tax architecture play. Thailand's long-term resident visa, introduced in 2022 and updated in 2026, offers a 10-year renewable visa, a flat 17% income tax rate for highly skilled professionals, and zero tax on foreign-sourced income for retirees and remote workers. The 2026 update removed the income requirement for the wealthy global citizen category, meaning applicants can now qualify on assets alone. Parents can now be added as dependents. This is not a grant. It is a restructuring of your tax architecture with a decade of stability. Mauritius. The second residency structure. Mauritius offers a retirement permit for individuals aged 50 and older, requiring the transfer of $2,000 per month to a local bank account. There is no minimum stay requirement under the updated 2025 and 2026 rules. After 5 years and $200,000 transferred, there is eligibility for a 20-year permit. There is zero capital gains tax, no inheritance tax. English is widely used. For the high net worth retiree seeking a second residency structure with strong lifestyle credentials and meaningful tax architecture, Mauritius deserves serious research. Your strategic position. Remember the central idea that opened this video? Somewhere in the world right now, a government is sitting across a negotiating table, and you are the asset they are trying to acquire. That framing is not flattery. It is demographics. It is the consequence of shrinking working-age populations, low fertility rates, aging tax bases, and rural regions that can no longer sustain themselves without new residents, new skills, and new capital. The opportunities in this video are real. They are funded, and they are available right now. The only question that matters is which one matches the life you are designing. Not the largest check, not the most viral headline. The one that matches your finances, your family structure, your tolerance for renovation complexity, your language ambitions, your need for infrastructure versus silence, and your vision of what the next 10 years of your life should actually feel like. Here's an insider's tip for relocation success. The people who navigate these programs successfully share one characteristic. They start their research well before they are ready to move, and they use that lead time to build the right team. An immigration attorney, a tax advisor with dual country expertise, and a local property professional with experience in the region they are targeting. Those professionals are not optional. The governments need you. The question is, which one deserves you?